Just 2 short years after they launched, the BMW M2 and M2 Pure are no more, their engines having fallen foul of ever stricter European emissions regulations. But worry not, M fans, because BMW has you covered. This is the M2 Competition. It's the hardest, fastest and most track-focused M2 to date, compliments of a new engine, new brakes and new aero. So does all that help the M2 formula, or does it hinder it? Let's find out. Yep, the M2 and M2 Pure are both now officially extinct. Orders have now ceased and both are being replaced by this M2 Competition with its Euro 6 approved engine. But dry those eyes, because this power plant is an absolute peach. A 3-litre twin turbocharged bell ringer that produces more power and more torque than the engine it replaces, now a whopping 302 kilowatts and 550 newton meters. That means a 4.2 second sprint to 100 kilometers an hour and a 280 kilometer an hour top speed. It partners with a 7-speed dual clutch automatic as standard, but happy days, a 6-speed manual will be offered as a no-cost option when the car arrives in Australia around October. And that's not all that's new either, with M-stamp changes inside and out. So take a quick tour of this car with me. The whole idea has been to make it feel a little bit more muscular, hence the big wedges in the bodywork. But starting at the rear, the diffuser's new and so's the quad-tip black chrome exhaust. These 19-inch alloy wheels are new too. They're lightweight, they weigh about 10 kilos each, and behind them lurk 6-piston front and 4-piston rear brakes. They're new too. The wing mirrors are the aero design from the rest of the M range, while the front end has been reshaped for better aero and better cooling. Now let's take a look inside. Now I'm sure you're thinking this cabin looks pretty familiar, but I promise there is some new stuff. For one, the steering wheel is new and it has the M1 and M2 shortcut buttons, meaning that you can jump to the car's most hardcore settings at the push of a button. These seats are new too and offer plenty of support, and this 8.8-inch screen that dominates the center of the dash is Apple CarPlay equipped, but it does remain a cost option. Elsewhere though, it does tick the practicality boxes required to make it a daily driver. Up front at least, there's 2 cup holders, there's room in each of the doors for bottles, and the front of the car is quite spacious. Now the back of course is a different story. With no rear doors, you do have to climb over to the front seats to get there. Once there though, sitting behind my own 176 centimeter driving position, there was plenty of leg room. Headroom not so much though, mine was bouncing off the fabric. Now BMW is yet to confirm pricing for the competition in Australia, but it has warned we can expect to pay a little bit more for it, with the new sticker prices expected to land somewhere between 100 and 105,000. Now the brand is also staying tight-lipped on other models, but we would expect to see a pure version of this car too, allowing for a sub $100,000 starting point for the M2 family. And that makes this thing something of a performance bargain. So the big question is, does this thing still sound and feel like a proper M car? Does it bloody what? BMW reckons this thing will clip 100 kilometers an hour in under 4.5 seconds, but I can tell you it feels faster than that, and not just to 100, it'll keep climbing. It'll leave 200 kilometers an hour in the dust and keep pushing. Now I know $100,000 is not a little amount of money in anyone's book, but I cannot shake the feeling that this thing does feel like a performance car bargain, even a $100,000 bargain if such a thing exists. But it's not just the out-and-out performance. This car adopts the same under-bonnet bracing of the M4, and the impact it has on the way this thing goes around corners is staggering. It feels super composed. And yes, you can lose the tail end if you're a little bit silly on the exit, but that's part of the fun of the M, right? But the real magic of this car, of course, is the way that it straddles the divide between racetrack and the road. If you set everything to its most comfortable settings, it's not too loud, it's not too uncomfortable, you can pop 2 kids in the back and you can drive it to work in traffic without feeling too suicidal about it. But when you want to turn it on, boy oh boy, this thing does it like few others. Quick side note, there needs to be a Nobel Peace Prize awarded to whoever came up with this idea of being able to turn traction control half off, meaning that you can get really silly on the exit of a corner, and at just the moment where you might be normally spearing off the road into the trees, the traction control cuts back in, pulls you back into line, and allows you to drive off like a hero. Just incredible stuff, and it works amazingly well in this car. So it's only been a pretty brief taste test, sure, but I got a sneaking suspicion that when the competition arrives in Australia in October, BMW's best M car is still going to be its cheapest. And how often do you get to say that?